Something I said, or just a cruel twist of fate? Was it hell or high water? And is it too late? Oh, is it too late? All my life I've been searching for someone to show me how it feels to be loved and how to love somebody back. Well, after stumbling through the years, I thought I found you just to see you fading out into the night. Was it a trick of the light, or a shot in the dark? Was it hell or high water that broke our hearts? Was it something you did, or just a cruel twist of fate? Was it hell or high water? And is it too late? Well, all my life I've been silently reaching for a hand to hold, to warm the cold, a spark of light to guide me through alright. After stumbling through the years, I thought I found you just to see you fading out into the night. Was it a trick of the light, or a shot in the dark? Was it hell or high water that broke our hearts? Was it something we did, or just a cruel twist of fate? Was it hell or high water? And is it too late? Oh, and is it too late? Yeah, 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 yeah. Was it a knife in my back, or a fork in the road? Was it hell or high water that left us alone? Is it really game over? Is it really checkmate? Was it hell or high water? And is it too late? Oh, is it too late?
Passenger, live on the Soundcheck podcast with a song called Hell or High Water. Passenger, as always, is Mike Rosenberg, solo with guitar in hand. Although, Mike, first of all, great to have you back here.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
On the record, electric guitar, drums, a whole string section on that song. I mean, it's a really big kind of orchestral rock number. Were you going for... was there a deliberate idea on this record to maybe expand the palette a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always been the thing with me, is that live, it usually is just me and a guitar. But on the record, you know, it's kind of this opportunity to really, I don't know, as you say, expand the palette. And, you know, quite often when I write a song, I'll have a little melody line in my head that could be a strings part, or, you know, some idea for drums or backing vocals. And when we record an album, it's a really lovely opportunity to explore those avenues. And I love the fact that the record is completely different to the live show, you know. I think people have different opinions on that, you know. I think some people listen to a record and then they come to a gig and they want basically that record played live. And other people, you know, really embrace that difference, but can't please everyone all the time. That's
Right.
one thing I've learned. Yeah.
Was Passenger always intended to be a one-man band, or was there some idea that it would be a genuine band at some point?
There was some idea and some hope that would happen. I think people realised very early on that I'm unbearable to work with. So, you know, it's always been... No, I mean, yeah, it was a band for about 3 or 4 years. And that was sort of back in the early 2000s when I was in my early 20s. And for many different reasons, it didn't work. We made a record and did some touring, but yeah, ultimately the band sort of went our separate ways, and that's when I started busking. You know,
Right.
because I was in this situation where, you know, I had these songs, and I just needed to get in front of people. I didn't have a label. I didn't have any money behind it, and busking seemed to be this avenue. So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, last time you were here, we talked about the fact that you were still busking. You know, you had all these hit songs and, all these people following you on Instagram and YouTube, and yet you were out at, you were busking in Greenwich
Washington
Village,
Square, I think
Washington
we did.
Square
Yeah,
Park.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I love the story. Was it in L.A. where you were busking on the street and somebody asked you, why are you only playing passenger songs?
Yeah. And I had to go along with it. I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just a big fan. You know. Yeah, you know, busking for me is an intrinsic part of passenger, and you know, it's funny when I was back in the day when I was busking. It was 5 years of busking and playing in pubs, and all I wanted to do was to make it and have a hit single and sort of move away from that. And then, you know, I realized after having all of that success, like, you know what, I really miss busking. I really miss that spontaneity, that really intimate connection. So every couple of years, I love to just get out and busk again. So yeah, actually, funnily enough, throughout June, I went busking through Europe, and you know, back to these spots where, you know, once upon a time I would play to 15 people passing by, and you know, in some of these places now we're getting 2,000, 3,000 people turning up, and it's pretty humbling. And for me, I can't help but remember when I do these things how lucky I am and how grateful I am that I have so many people that want to come down and listen to my songs, you know.
Yeah. So you made this record called Runaway. It comes out August 31st.
That's right.
And then you basically did the sort of busking tour of the album, right? Where you recorded each song in a different part of the United States.
Yeah, so it kind of this record's really interesting. My dad is from New Jersey originally, so I'm half American. I've been coming to the States, especially sort of the East Coast, all of my life, and I've obviously done a lot of touring here, and I sat down with these songs before we went in to record and realized that actually there was this real American theme running through this album. You know, there's a song about Detroit, there's a song about Yellowstone National Park, there's also a song about my dad and his parents, which I'll play shortly.
Right.
But aside from that, throughout the body of work, it just felt like there was this kind of real Americana thing creeping through.
Huh. And that happened after you had written the songs?
Yeah, it was kind of something that I wasn't really aware of until I had them as a group, and I started playing through them, and I just decided to really run with that idea, you know. So when we went into the studio, I said to the band, "Look, it is quite American. Don't shy away from those flavors, you know, those influences." So on the record, you know, Hello High Water's got a really nice banjo part. There's a lot of lap steel,
right?
And I think it, you know, some sounds that I maybe would have shied away from in the past, we really embraced, and so it sounds more American, I think. And then to top it off, from a visual aspect, me and 3 friends traveled around the States for a month. We did like 5,000 miles, flew into Seattle, went all the way down the West Coast, all around the national parks and up to Colorado to Michigan and across to New York. And it was the most fantastic trip. We shot videos for all of the different songs.
With you playing them solo?
Well, two versions. So we kind of shot these official videos where it would be me looking very mysterious and moody, sort of slow-mo walking through Joshua Tree National Park. And then we would do the acoustic version, which would actually be recording the audio live at the time. So it's great, you know, you hear woodpeckers in you know, the redwood forests of California, or, you know, a wave crashing on Santa Monica Beach or whatever. And the idea behind that was to kind of bring people on the journey with us. You know?
Right. Yeah. So Hell or High Water was the one in Santa Monica.
The acoustic version.
The acoustic version,
That's
yes.
right. And we shot the official video, which is up on YouTube, and you can check it out if people wanted to. But that was, Monument Valley, Valley of Fire, Death Valley,
Mm-hmm.
and Joshua Tree.
Yeah. And the song you're going to do next, I mean, is clearly biographical.
Yeah.
You know, it seems to be telling your dad's story, and therefore your kind of origin story, I guess. And you did the acoustic version of that in New Jersey.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's a song that I never thought I would write because my grandparents were Jewish refugees, that after the war came to the States and set up a chicken farm in Vineland, New Jersey, and that's where my dad and his siblings grew up. And yeah, tough childhood for many reasons, and that story has been around me since I was born. And it's something I never thought I'd write about. As a songwriter, there are things that you don't go close to with songs. And I was on vacation a few months ago, and I was just playing guitar, and these lyrics came to me. And before long, I realised I was writing the story of my grandparents. And this strange feeling came over me, and I just started crying. And it wasn't that I was upset, but it was just coming from such a deep place, I think, such a profound place. And it's the story of my grandparents. It then goes on to my dad, and then there's a bit about me at the end. So it's sort of a 3-generational song. And yeah, I went back to my grandma's house in Vineland and shot the video, and also to a place called Avalon, which is a beach town in New Jersey, which is where we used to go on holiday as kids. So it was quite an emotional roller coaster for me. This song, yeah.
Well, and one of the things is it's such a kind of an emotionally honest song that it transcends the specific tale of the Rosenberg family.
That's right.
And it becomes like this kind of, I mean, this is the American story. I mean, my family had a similar story of of immigrant grandparents, and it resonates, I think, with a lot more widely than you might have thought when you wrote it.
No, I think that's absolutely right, and never has it been so important to remember that this country, like so many, are built on immigrants.
Yep.
And I hope everyone can remember that, really.
Yeah. Let's hear the song. Passenger is my guest. That's Mike Rosenberg. His new album is called Runaway. It comes out on August 31st. This song is called To Be Free.
Vineland, New Jersey, farmland stretching far as the eye can see. Not much down there but sun-scorched pastures in 1953. The war was over and they came searching for a place to be. They left the Rhineland, they lost their homeland and all their family. Like feathers on the ocean breeze, they went spinning and tumbling across the sea. Never know where they'd come down or who they'd be. Like heather on the hillside, they were bruised and they were battered by the breeze, searching for a place to be free. Sunburned summers, frostbite winters, the kids were plainly dressed. He left the farmhouse when he was old enough and headed out west. From California to southern Africa and all the way to France. On to England to meet my mother in 1981. A feather on the ocean breeze, he went spinning and tumbling across the sea. Never know where he'd come down or who he'd be. Like heather on the hillside, he was bruised and he was battered by the breeze, searching for a place to be free. Worn like a seed, flying in the wind, in search of water, soil and sun. And the birds and the bees to help it all along. Now here I am, 34 years down, 2018. I've seen the Rhineland, I've been to Vineland, I'm a feather on the breeze.
Song is called To Be Free, live performance by Passenger, aka Mike Rosenberg, here in the Soundcheck studio from the album called Runaway, due on August 31st. Mike will be touring solo, as usual, through the States in the fall, playing here in New York at Brooklyn Steel on October 18th, playing here for us today, as he's done a couple of times in the past. Who or what is the runaway of the title? Is that kind of just everybody in that song and many of the people on the record, or do you have something more specific in mind?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I speak for myself, but I think it's something we all do. We all sort of run away from our problems, and I more specifically than most, because I can physically run away because I'm always touring. And I think for years it's been, I don't know, it's been an easy option for me, easy way out, easy way not to take too much responsibility. And I don't know, I think I've reached a point in my life where actually I don't want to do that anymore. There's something in me that wants to stay put a little bit more and enjoy the simpler things in life and enjoy time with the people that I love. And so I think that song was all about actually slowing down and remembering to take in what's wonderful about being alive, you know?
Yeah. Well, a lot, I mean, travel has been, the name of the band is Passenger, but travel has always been something that you've dealt with in the songs, the videos. The last time you were here, that album was recorded in New Zealand, if I'm remembering.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So now this one, all about the U.S. Are you familiar with the story behind David Bowie's record, Aladdin Sane?
I'm not.
So he had done Ziggy Stardust.
Okay.
And then he came and he toured the States, and he went to all these cities, and then he went home and he wrote about each of them.
Wow.
And that was Aladdin Sane. And sometimes it's obvious. Panic in Detroit, obviously about Detroit.
Right.
And other times you just kind of have to take his word for it.
Yeah, okay.
And it seems like, your kind of travelogue of modern America. I mean, there are songs like the one you just played that are very specific.
Yeah.
And then there are others that are kind of a more wide-angle view.
Definitely. And look, not every lyric on this record is about the States. Far from it. You know, it's a passenger record, which is kind of tilted in that direction. You know,
Yeah.
I would certainly be lying to say that it was all written in America. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't. But I think, you know, America is such an important place for me on a personal level. You know, being half from here, it's going through an interesting time at the moment as well. And I think, I don't know, it felt like the right time to come here and explore it and sing about it. It's a fascinating place that you live in. Yeah.
And did you explore via automobile? Did you drive?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I have to say we did cheat. We took one flight from Colorado to Michigan
Yeah.
because we'd been driving for 2 or 3 weeks. We were running out of time, and it's like, you know what? We're not going to get all this done unless we
So
book a couple
you
of
had to get a
tickets.
driver's license.
I did eventually, yeah. You know, people, especially Americans, laugh at me about this. I didn't learn how to drive till I was 31.
Yeah.
Because in England, like, you know, it's set up so differently. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pedestrianised. You can walk or get the bus or whatever. But in the States, people look at me like I'm a complete alien. Yeah.
Well, people looked at me though. I'm a native New Yorker. What did
Yeah.
I need a car for?
Yeah, right.
I
This
didn't
is it.
start driving till I was like 21, 22, and people were like, "What?"
Yeah. It's so funny, isn't it? I think Australia is the same. You know, you need a car early on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did a bit of driving in the States. One of the videos, it's a song called "Why Can't I Change." We hired a beautiful old car and drove through California, and I did a bit of the driving for that. It was interesting.
So, did you get your license in the UK or in the US? I mean, which side of the road is home for you?
UK for sure. I was
Okay.
baffled by driving in the States. Yeah, I think I made some Californian drivers fairly terrified and angry, but I apologise for that if anyone's watching from there.
So, what was the strangest place that you ended up playing one of these acoustic song video things in?
As soon as you said that, I knew exactly what I was going to say, because we were driving through Pennsylvania, which I hadn't really done before. I mean, as you know, I've got family from there and I've been there before, but rural Pennsylvania, I'd never really done. And we went off the beaten track, and we were a bit lost, and we were driving through this farmland, and we found this old abandoned house, and it was snowing. I think we were here in April, and it was pretty cold. It was snowing, so we played the video outside the house, and it was an amazing place. It had just been kind of left, and there was all this furniture left in there. There was this beautiful old Hammond organ that had been left in the front room. It was pretty creepy and pretty beautiful at the same time, yeah.
So, you actually went in?
We did go in, yeah, and I was pretty worried that it would be the last thing I did. So I went in and quickly came out, yeah.
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 All right. Did you find that rural Pennsylvania looks a lot like England?
It does. It really does,
Yeah.
yeah. Rolling hillsides. And
Yeah.
I guess it's on a similar sort of latitude.
I guess. I mean, I've always had that impression. Once you get away from the cities,
Yeah.
you know, and off the main road, it's like,
That's right. No, you're absolutely right. It definitely had an Anglo vibe to it.
yeah. Now, the song you just did, "To Be Free," on the record is the sparest, the kind of starkest.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you at the piano, I
Yeah.
guess. But I mentioned before how a lot of the songs, as you've done in the past on your albums, have a kind of a grander, kind of cinematic sweep to them. And this song "Survivors" is one of those where, you know, it really, there's a lot going on here.
It's a big song, yeah. I think what I've learned about my writing over the years is early on I was really conflicted, because I would write these really big songs, and I would also write these tiny little finger-picky kind of folky songs, and I wouldn't know how to kind of keep both sides of myself happy. You know, I'd make an album, I'd think, I've kind of overdone those folky ones, or I've underdone those big pop ones, you know. And so nowadays, I think I kind of alternate with records. So I think this whole album is a very big sounding record. I think there's some big songs. It's quite catchy, quite hooky, quite poppy. The last record we did, I released on my own label. It was all live recordings, very lo-fi, very chilled. It's called The Boy Who Cried Wolf, if people sort of prefer that sound. So I'm kind of alternating between the two ideas, and Survivors definitely is a song that it just needed that big production.
Mm.
You know, as soon as I wrote it, I heard the drums, I heard the strings, I heard everything that it needed to be. So it was a lot of fun putting that song
Yeah.
together.
Were you hearing kind of Nashville skyline era, that
Yeah,
kind of big sweep of orchestral pop? Yeah.
exactly that, and yeah, that sort of culmination of yeah, orchestra, but also still bringing that kind of electric guitar
Yeah.
and those elements through as well. Yeah,
Yeah. But it is a passenger song, which means there is inevitably a solo version.
of course, of course.
Which is what we're about to hear. Mike Rosenberg is Passenger playing for us here on the Soundcheck podcast.
Whole life is just a game. No one ever tells you how to play. Different people go different ways. Some of them will leave you, but some of them will stay. Well, our hearts keep drumming, the years keep coming quicker than they've ever been. You're sick of the same thing, it's quicker than changing and too late to begin. Well, everybody's running, you don't know where, time is running thin. Everybody's looking for somebody to love, but we're scared to let them in. And I say, oh, oh, are there any survivors? Am I here alone? I say, oh, oh, are there any survivors? Am I here alone? Am I on my own? Oh, love, well, it comes and goes, but no one ever tells you how to learn to let go. And different people, they walk different roads. Well, some of them will hurt you, some of them won't. Well, the bridge is burning, the wheel keeps turning quicker than it did before. Your heart screams yes, your head says no, and you're never really sure. Well, everybody's running, you don't know why, time is running short. Everybody's looking for a place to hide, till there's no one left at all. And I say, oh, oh, are there any survivors? Am I here alone? I say, oh, oh, are there any survivors? Am I here alone? Am I on my own? Oh, oh, oh. Am I here alone? Oh, 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 hey. And I say, oh, oh, are there any survivors? Am I here alone? And I say, oh, are there any survivors? Am I here alone? Am I on my own?
That is Passenger, live here in the Soundcheck studio, and another song from the forthcoming album called Runaway, which comes out on August 31st. Survivors is the name of that song, and Mike, when you're busking on the street, I mean, you're playing the guitar at really the threshold of audibility at times here in the studio. Can you get away with that when you're busking?
Yeah, I mean, I've always used an amp, or, it's always been amplified somehow, Yeah, you have to judge the room or the lack of room,
Right.
as is the case with busking. But yeah, I mean, that's something I love about playing live. You can be really dynamic.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned early on is actually just playing really loud doesn't bring people in. Early gigs when you're playing in pubs where no one cares and everyone's drunk and just chatting over you. And as an 18-year-old, you think the answer is to just thump out the loudest version of Wonderwall by Oasis that you could possibly do. And it's not actually. The thing to do is unplug your guitar, walk down and start picking a folk song, and then everyone has to shut up,
Yeah.
So they're just tricks you learn along the way, I think.
Do you still do any of those? Do you do Wonderwall? Do you do the old folk songs?
I haven't done Wonderwall for a while. I think Oasis will be delighted to hear that. But yeah, I cover a bunch of songs. I was up at Newport Folk Festival yesterday, and I played a gig there, and it's obviously always been a dream to play that place. And we did a busking set afterwards, just in the quad area, and I played Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. I haven't played that song live, I don't think, ever. But it's always nice just to kind of keep yourself on your toes and play these songs that you're a bit like, oh, what the words, what the chords, because it keeps you really engaged in the performance, I think.
So when you say folk song, you mean like folk rock as opposed to like the
I use
the old British folk songs,
the old finger in the ear and the woolen jumper thing.
Right.
Yeah. I love that stuff as well. I mean, I use the term pretty loosely, and
That's fine.
I mean, I grew up on Joni Mitchell and stuff like that. So.
Well, Big Bill Broonzy used to say they're all folk songs.
Well, there you go.
I never heard a horse sing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Nice. The record comes out August 31st. Then you'll be doing your passenger tour of the States. October 18th here in New York at Brooklyn Steel. It will be just you with the guitars.
Yeah.
And
so basically, if people have watched this, no need to come to the gig. It's gonna you watch this for free. It's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you're from Brighton. I'm from New York. We've both somehow become long-suffering fans of the same North London football club, Arsenal. So all I can say in closing is, come on, you Gunners! Great to see you again, and look forward to next time.
Thanks for your time. Thanks, man.
Passenger, a.k.a. Mike Rosenberg, my guest on this edition of Soundcheck.
But you only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hate the road when you're missing home. Only know you love her when you let her go.